Okay, I swear that this is the last time the video I intended to come out like 2 weeks ago is getting pushed back. Come hell or high water, it will be out this Sunday. But yeah, I didn't have time to work on something that size because not only did I have a weird schedule last week, but I spent Halloween night watching horror movies in the grand tradition. So I need something that I can finish with only one day of extreme crunch. And finally, I have finally managed to source everything from Legacy Wave 2. Is this the worst Hasbro's distribution has ever been? I think it might just be. I don't think I managed to find any two of these at this same store. Anyways, Wildrider. And thank God, at long last, Legacy finally has a figure I don't have to give a conflicted review on. I was so sick of Legacy releasing figures where I had to be like, well, it's good if you can look past this quality. Legacy has finally released a figure where I don't have to both sides it, where I don't have to qualify why it's good. It just fucking sucks. Hallelujah, Legacy did a bad. Oh my god, this thing is such trash. I can't believe they looked at this thing and thought they were done. This makes Combiner Wars look like gifts from the divine. This figure is not only bad, but it is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Because I never in a million years would expect some rock-sucking stupid designer to go, man, I accidentally wound up with this thing having a huge backpack. I know, I'll make it worse. That'll be better, right? Listening to Mark try to sell this as a cape actively rots my brain. 1. No, it's not. In no way whatsoever does this even remotely approach looking anything like a cape. And it looks like shit. 2. Why does it split like this and not straight down the middle? Would that still be bad? Yes. Would it be as bad as this already is? No. At least it wouldn't have had this stupid bullshit peeking up over his head, which is absolutely the main problem from the front. 3. It's now worse like this since more of the backpack is visible from the front than ever. 4. It doesn't lock in like this at all. It's freewheeling even harder than Elita 1's backpack. And 5. It actually looks better if you just don't fucking bother. It's smaller, it's cleaner, less of it is visible from a wider degree of angles, and it even rests slightly more securely. This is quite possibly the worst idea a Transformers figure has ever suffered. A completely superfluous step that seems to have been added solely to make the transformation slightly more complex, that actively ruins the look of the figure. At least you can ignore it, but you are left with an RC level of backpack, which I just feel like they had to have been able to do something more with. Like Legend scale third-party figures don't have this problem. But even if it didn't, even if you punched out the pin and just chucked the bumper section and bullshit faux window in the trash, this would still suck because of the proportions. As always, the legs on this thing are just way too long. If it didn't have this little extension here, they'd be reasonable length. Just have the knee directly come out of the bumper. But the legs are mounted too low in the hips, this gap shouldn't be so apparent, and lastly, he's got these fat-ass shins. They are just so bulbous compared to the rest of him. If the legs were thicker, then he'd look weird, like he'd be trying to fight the Autobots, but he's dummy thick so the clap of his ass keeps giving away his position. But you also can't really make the shins thinner because they have to be a part of the alt mode. However, that's not to say that there's nothing that could be done. The Magic Square Legends figure actually does a decently clever thing, where they make it clear his shins are in the center of his legs and are in the right proportions, but the thickness is coming from kibble. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, sometimes the best way to deal with your kibble is to absolutely treat it exactly like kibble. It's not a perfect answer, but it feels better and it makes my brain itch less. And actually looking at the show design, the legs are on backwards. The fronts of the shins are actually supposed to be the top of the car. Whoops! They didn't even get the looks of the toes right. I can't wait for a G1er to try and defend this thing by saying, if you ignore all this, then the figure looks perfect. Oh yeah, from the pecs to the head, this thing is great. No qualms there, unless you're looking at it from the side, at which point the sleeves are way baggier than they should be. I mean, the Stunticons already had some of the lamest designs in all of the Transformers, so I didn't really think they could get worse. And yet they did, in a huge way. And I just have to say that this guy feels tiny. He's about normal height, but if you put him next to a regular car former from the modern era, he's just dwarfed by them. He's so skinny and wimpy looking. This is Wildrider, the guy who's ready to smack down everyone who you should be afraid of because he's so dangerous. I guess I too am uncomfortable around the neighborhood tweaker. I was even going to say that the head is good, but then I looked at it and was like, oh, fuck this thing. He looks old, he has a tiny mouth, and he looks like he just smelled something bad while trying to do blue steel. Plus, he has light piping. And you know what? I didn't think this figure could get worse. But at least they painted it over. Maybe they did that when they realized how fucking moronically pointless it is to have light piping when the back of the figure's head is blocked up with massive amounts of kibble. So, the sculpt sucks. There's more I could still bitch about, but when I have literally nothing good to say, why would I waste everyone's time and bang on and on about it? The only thing this gets right are the robo-titties. Everything else suffers from some level of abject failure, leaving us with an ugly, dorky figure that looks vaguely like a less ugly, less dorky character. People must be so thrilled. His accessories are fine, they are also a giant dick move. He comes with two guns, just like Dragstrip, however they are in a different peg style, unlike Dragstrip. So if you want to make a wall of guns, then it's actually impossible to combine these two weapons, which is a crime against stupid, dumb fun. They're painted okay, they look okay, there's nothing remarkable to say here. Now posability is not going to save this thing, because while it's not bad, it's also very, very boring. Head only swivels unless you want a really bad-looking fake up where the neck sucks into his torso like some kind of turtle. Shoulders pull like a 92, elbows pull like a 90. Narcissus. Normally I wouldn't tell you about the waist unless it's missing, but here it's mounted in the wrong place, so when you rotate him, he looks like he bisects. Legs are unimpeded going forward, unimpeded going back, and extraordinarily unimpeded going out to the side. Normal 90 knees, and feet with a huge tilt up and a rocker. So this is the bad kind of average. You gotta do better than 90 elbows and 90 knees. I need at least one of those to get more range than that. Especially if you only have narcissists, and as a practical matter, your head only swivels. The best joint on this guy is his feet. That's not a good sign. And if at any point you thought you were going to start liking this guy, the transformation steps in. Oh god, this whole thing sucks. I don't actually think the people who say that you have to start at the back end of this figure are right. You can start at either side in either mode, but nonetheless, it's just frustrating as piss. This is the stickiest transformation I've ever run into. Nothing wants to move where you need it to go unless you put an uncomfortable amount of force into it. Nothing wants to open far enough or slip by cleanly enough. And if it weren't for that, the whole process would just be brain dead simple. Think Siege Sideswipe's transformation, but get rid of anything elegant about it and make it even less complicated. Because instead of the hood becoming his chest, it's just resting on his back like a giant hoodie. And after popping in the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen, a giant sheet of clear plastic on a long lever that's just begging to crack or snap, you get this loser's only passable mode. It's a car, it's a cool car, it looks good, rolls fine. I don't really have much to say. It's made out of 60% clear plastic, and so much of this is held together with transparent tabs that will break one of these days because, like I said, the tolerances of the transformation are ridiculous, so I just never want to transform this thing again for more reasons than it's just not fun. I was going to give it credit for having a blast effect port on the back, but that's not what this is. They won't fit. So I guess the only thing that's left to show you is the combined mode. What you want to do in order to avoid risking breaking the windshield is just push on the rear of the lever it's mounted on. This is really the easiest way to do this, and I'm glad I figured it out, because otherwise this figure is just flat out doomed. And there! You've done it! That's the whole transformation. Good thing that this is going on the back of the leg where you're never gonna fucking see it. I'm sorry, but this is just pathetic. There was not one shit given about the leg bots in this set. Motormaster and Dragstrip felt like the designers gave so much of a damn. But this feels like it's a phoned-in rush job by someone who wasn't even a good designer to begin with. And yeah, overall, fuck this thing. I'd say don't buy it, but if you're in for Menasor at this point, there's really not a chance of me warning you away from it. You're going to buy this, stick it on the back of the shin, and then forget it ever existed. However, if you're just looking for a good deluxe, then hunt elsewhere, because this is shit. Even the Blitzwing was better than this. This is hands down the worst figure of Legacy, and easily one of the worst figures of the last several years. Boring, generic, badly designed, lazily implemented, easy to break, malformed, ugly, with a bad transformation, and not 1 ounce of creativity or effort. It transforms in the most boring, lazy, and predictable way possible. It technically goes through more effort attaching to the combined mode than it's supposed to, and yet I wish it didn't bother. It actively only looks dumber. The weapons are nothing special, and given the dearth of effort everywhere else, that is now unacceptable. And the posability isn't even trying. There is nothing to be recommended. This is a void of quality and enjoyment, and I thought it looked bad before. I didn't realize just how trash this was going to be till I got it in hand. And let me tell you, I am both dreading Breakdown and wondering if I'm even going to bother reviewing it. What's the point? It's the same fucking thing as this garbage, just in white with a parts-forming spoiler. What would I possibly have to say different about it? It would just be the same video again. Fuck this thing. Don't buy it, even if you're completing Menasor. Just get those parts that cover up his shin doors on Shapeways and save yourself like $6. It's not like you can even see them from the front, so what's the point of him being on there anyways? What a fucking stupid decision to put them on backwards for G1 accuracy and then not have some way to reverse them onto the front, despite the fact that that's also sometimes G1 accuracy. That shin door really is just a grift to force you to buy these sacks of shit. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.